It was the mother of all bombs and the mother of all messages.
At around 7 p.m. local time in Afghanistan last night, the United States military used a GBU-43 weapon in Afghanistan. The GBU-43 is a large, powerful, and accurately delivered weapon. We targeted a system of tunnels and caves that ISIS fighters used to move around freely, making it easier for them to target U.S. military advisors and Afghan forces in the area. The United States takes the fight against ISIS very seriously, and in order to defeat the group, we must deny them operational space, which we did.
So he just dropped a big, beautiful bomb and made ISIS pay for it. It smashed ISIS tunnels, but it did more than that. It ruined North Korea's weekend. As you know, they're coming up on their founder's birthday, which means a missile test. And what did we do? We preempted it. We out North Korea. I mean, we just dropped a massive bomb that destroys underground stuff. Who has a lot of stuff underground? North Korea. Talk about a surprise for your birthday. It beats balloon animals and face painting. See, if Earth is a village, North Korea is the town drunk. And we just smacked that drunk upside the head while beating the crap out of the village gang, which is ISIS. Of course, North Korea will respond with their own party favors. But we've seen this act before, and today we hit first. It's like a jerky neighbor plans to throw a party, and you decide to throw one earlier, inviting the whole city and getting Van Halen to play with the original lineup. That's what we did. North Korea looks lame. We look persuasive, especially with President Trump's recent meeting with China, which could signal a change. And the good news about North Korea, unlike the Middle East hotspots, there's no Islamic death cult waiting in the wings to fill a toppled regime's void. A change in North Korea could mean 25 million people who live like caged inmates may finally be free. So it's not just about ousting a nut, but liberating the world's largest prison camp. Maybe a big, fat, beautiful bomb is the laxative that'll move things along. Well, Dana, everything in Trump's administration is always big. It's not just a normal bomb. It's the big bomb.
It's going to do it all.
Yeah, but I mean, what do you? I mean, my thesis is that it's a larger message. Is there any credence to that?
Well, I think that part of the thing that's interesting is that we don't know because the Pentagon hasn't given us information yet. We don't have a lot of details. That will come, and then of course we're going to have Jennifer Griffin in a bit, so maybe she's been able to find out some more. But I do think it is a return to taking the fight to the enemy, because we can choose how we fight this war. And I think that because there had been increased activity up in that region, especially with increased ISIS fighters, and because they were mobile, they were going in and out of the Middle East to Afghanistan, and that was proliferating. And they must have had really good intelligence that said this is the target of opportunity, and they decided to take it. I would be interested to find out why they decided to use that bomb for the first time. I think that's really interesting. But I do think it also sends a message to everybody else.
Eric, does this smell like Mattis? This seems like something very decisive and kind of like just like you know where it's coming from.
I think what the last 2 weeks prove is that this North Korean situation is that big. And I do think that the Syrian situation was a heads up. Remember, those Tomahawks were launched with President Xi of China sitting at the dinner table. Hold on, I'll be right back. Go ahead, launch some Tomahawks, comes back and
beautiful chocolate
cake.
Finishes some cake. And look, and then the following week, we dropped a 21,000-pound bomb, the size of 5 automobiles, a concussion bomb, while Kim Jong-un is now saying he may test his own form of bomb on Saturday. So I think Trump realizes that this is the hotspot that he has to worry about. And the linchpin to all this, the kingpin to solving this solution isn't Russia, isn't Putin. It's China. And he must have had a very good meeting with China, with President Xi, because China, don't forget, they voted to abstain at the UN yesterday at Security Council, basically saying, we're with Trump on this one. I mean, because the last 8 years, China would have voted against it just like Russia did. But this time they said, you know what, we're with Trump. And if Kim Jong-un doesn't get the message from Trump, from China, he's in a whole heap of mess of trouble right now.
What do you make of this, Kimberly? Was the timing, is the timing the thing that it happened today?
I think the timing, the execution, the precision of it, and it shows me that this is a president that's listening to the intelligence reports, that's actually listening to the people that he picked to come in to help him stabilize our country, stabilize other regions that he knows are in our best interest, to have national security that we can actually count on, because we are playing catch-up from 8 years, to be quite honest. But nevertheless, he's the president now. He's deciding what to do. He's relying on McMaster. He's relying on Mattis. And I think those are excellent decisions in terms of how they handled it. And I like the fact that he's not afraid to make a decision, that he's not going to equivocate for 8 years. He's going to get stuff done. North Korea should be very concerned, specifically Kim Jong-un, because nobody seems to want to tolerate his conduct anymore. And I think it was very decisive that China has, at this very pivotal time, decided to lean towards the United States. And I think there was a lot of diplomacy and talks that went on, definitely benefited by the time alone that President Trump had with President Xi in Florida, and how well that went in terms of their interpersonal relationship.
Can I just, I know we want to get Juan in here, but let me follow this up with, in these meetings, in this dinner and in these subsequent meetings with China, the fact that Trump said, and this is one of his campaign promises, we're going to name and label China a currency manipulator from the very get-go, the fact that he came out and said, we're going to rethink that policy right now, proves that the man is willing to make a deal. He didn't go right after China right away. He probably made a deal and said, look, Kim Jong-un is going to be a problem for us and for you. We'll play ball with you on this currency manipulation, which is not a small thing. In global
I mean, that was
trade.
Trump's main complaint with China.
But it's also a major setback to Chinese-U.S. trade if he went ahead and went for that. And so that may be part of the deal-making that
Well, yeah,
Trump
you
did.
certainly can't, like, slap them around and label them currency manipulator, make that the lead when you need their cooperation right now. So I think that's what went on.
But that is, yeah, that's quite a shift. Juan, am I being absurd in linking these two things, the bombing and North Korea? Or does it make sense that this is not just going after ISIS, but sending a message?
Well, I think it's, you know, I mean, I don't think that it's anything necessarily about the power of the bomb, although everybody's writing the headlines about the most powerful non-nuclear bomb that we've
the mother
dropped.
of all bombs.
That's what they say. Although
Why can't it be father?
Well, it could be. I'd prefer
Sexist.
that. But we have even more
Gender
powerful
neutral.
bombs. But the issue here, to me, is the symbolism. And I think that's what Trump really plays on, is the symbolism. So it would extend to North Korea to that extent, that it would say to the whole world, we're not afraid to use massive military power. You know, earlier in the week, we saw that I think there were 18 Syrians killed by, unintentionally, civilians killed by U.S. bombing. So in the aftermath of that, I think he's making a symbolic statement about his willingness to use military might. It pleases, I think, his base, you know, the base that always was going after Obama for being too cool, thoughtful, relying on sanctions and diplomacy. When the National Security Advisor McMaster gave him options here, I think Trump went for the biggest show, you know, a little bit of shock and awe.
I'm not sure it pleases his base. I'm not sure that's his base. I think his base was, he ran on quite a bit of this, you know, economic and
but that's
foreign policy nationalism.
He's flip-flopped on a lot of things in the last few days. But when you look, because, and here's why I say,
push back on that.
No, I mean, I heard Kimberly right away. Oh, you know, he's making it for the last 8 years. Listen, since 1953, when we signed a deal with North Korea, we've had successive administrations, Republican and Democrat, that have not gone directly after this guy and have tried to play ball, try to find a way to encourage him to stop the bad behavior. Not this guy in particular, but 3 generations of leadership there. So to suddenly blame it on anybody, I don't think it's fair. But I will say this about what you saw from President Trump, is that Trump is a guy who doesn't know what to do with North Korea right now, and he is trying to get the Chinese. The Chinese have already pulled back on coal imports, but in fact, they are still doing a great deal of business with North Korea.
You said that for 6 decades, we've had presidents on both sides of the aisle who haven't known what to do with them. So you're saying Trump doesn't know. Well, guess what? Maybe the mother dropping a Moab on Afghanistan and 2 weeks ago sending 59 Tomahawks into Syria may shake this guy up, Kim Jong-un,
here's
the way
thing.
no one else has.
I think it was John McCain who called Kim Jong-un a fat, crazy kid and angered him to no end, right?
Angered me, too.
It did you, too, because you're a sensitive soul.
All right.
But I think there are lots of people who think he's a fat, crazy kid, and he's paranoid.
Way to double down.
And so one of the things that I think McMaster and others have suggested is, let's go kill him.
Well,
but you can't. He's hiding. It's illegal. I know, Dana. That's what.
No, but wait. You think that McMaster has said, "Let's go kill him"?
No, I think that if you ask me for options in terms of the power arrangement in North Korea, given that they have so few alternative factions, I would say if you want to stop this guy, the fat, crazy kid, go kill him.
Dana, I mean, the point is that it's like a ritual. With every new president, after the inauguration comes the North Korea challenge. It's like
I like your ruining their weekend before they could ruin ours.
Right. I'm so tired of us having to wait for them to, oh, look what they did. Now they're going like, look what America did.
I think the other reason, and hopefully we'll get more information about this soon from the administration to the extent that they can tell us, but part of the reason you've been doing this for 6 decades is because we've been trying to prevent the proliferation. But the clock is running out, and that's why I think you've seen increased activity. The other thing the Chinese have done recently is they have used their newspaper that goes into North Korea to basically warn the North Koreans not to do it because that Trump is serious.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting. It's coming from
one other factor to consider, along what Dana was saying, is that we have so many troops in South Korea. So the North Koreans have lots of troops, too. So if we do something there, short of taking out the leader, it could be that they then rush in to South Korea. That's a whole different dynamic than what we're seeing in Afghanistan.
That's part of the complexity of the situation. But when you say that, President Trump doesn't know what to do with North Korea, I think he does know what to do with North Korea.
What do you think that is?
Well, it's a multifaceted approach. Part of it is diplomacy in terms of relying on allies and getting people to partner with us in order to do something about a situation like Dana said that we have run out of time, and that's what I was referring to for the 8 years. He's using President Xi to help him, and we've already seen that development, in terms of
but I
sending
think
the coal
every other
back,
president,
abstaining in the vote, at the UN. So all these things are part of that peace and that relationship and partnership going forward.
Though. You can't just keep the Vincent offshore and hope they don't test this nuke over the weekend or test their ballistic capabilities, because eventually they will, and eventually they'll use it. So to your point, where's the change? And how do you get Kim Jong-un, who, as you pointed out, since the founder, the grandfather, it's been the same family ruling North Korea.
Well, he's got to go.
Make that well, to what? To whom? Is it? Is it
I think we know how.
A united Korean peninsula? Is it Chinese? I mean, it gets chippy.
Maybe somebody takes him out for all the people that he's killed. Maybe somebody gets a revenge.
I think they're just waiting.
The one last thing I would say on this is, I don't think he has the capacity, according to Sean Spicer, to hit us, the United States, yet with an intercontinental missile. But that's why this is so important right now. Stop him before he gets there.